October 25, 1944. The Philippine Sea boils in the wake of hundreds of warships. American aircraft carriers burn on the water. Destroyers launch deadly attacks. This is the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle in human history. But let's change one detail. Crossing the Sarajevo Strait, something appears that no one can understand. A 9,700-ton missile destroyer from the year 2223. The USS Arleigh Burke, a third-generation destroyer, finds itself in a battle for which it was not designed. So, what will happen when the most advanced destroyer on Earth is unleashed during one of the fiercest naval battles in history? Can he single-handedly stop the plans of the Imperial Japanese Navy? Is this just one ship against more than 60? The Arleigh Burke, a third-generation destroyer, is not just an old ship. This is a 590-foot steel and electric machine, representing 80 years of technological evolution encapsulated in one body. Its power is provided by 4 gas turbines generating 100,000 horsepower, allowing this giant to reach speeds of over 35 miles per hour. And although this is impressive, the main thing is what is hidden in its 96 vertical launchers. Imagine missile silos built into the deck. Each of them is loaded with everything from long-range SM-6 and SM-2 missiles to Tomahawk cruise missiles with a range of 1,000 kilometers and ESSM surface-to-air missiles packed 4 for close combat. The brain of the ship is the AN-SPY-6 radar, a 3-dimensional radar that tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously, calculating interception points faster than you can blink, and can see through darkness, storms, and smoke as if they were not there. The picture is completed by an electronic warfare system capable of disabling enemy electronics, torpedo tubes with guided torpedoes, and a 5-inch gun that fires precisely where the computer indicates it will hurt the most. But the center of Admiral Theocarita's forces is not a weak link. At the head of his squad are the Yamato and Musashi, 2 of the largest battleships ever built. Each of them displaces 72,000 tons and is equipped with 18-inch caliber guns that fire shells, each weighing as much as a small car. One precise shot can destroy an enemy destroyer. In their support, 3 battleships, including the Nagato, with 16-inch guns, as well as 10 heavy cruisers equipped with 8-inch guns and oxygen-powered long spear torpedoes. The best ship killers of World War II. 15 destroyers are positioned in front, shielding the giants and ready to launch torpedo attacks capable of splitting any ship in half. Opposing them are Burke veteran warships whose crews have fought in the Pacific for many years. They trained in night battles to reload weapons in absolute darkness. Their shooting is precise, torpedoes deadly, and determination unyielding. Combined with Admiral Nishimura's Southern Group and Ozawa's aircraft carrier group, the Japanese launch over 60 warships into Leyte Gulf. This is their last attempt. They will either win here or see their empire crumble. 3 o'clock in the morning. South of Samara, a Burke-class destroyer radar detects the main forces of Japan, located 150 kilometers to the north. The image is displayed with incredible detail on screens, making the command center resemble Times Square. Each vessel is tracked, catalogued, and assigned a threat priority before its crew understands what they will face. In 1944, the Japanese are effectively blind. Their first radar system, Tachi 3, exists but is not yet installed on the destroyer. Therefore, Japanese ships rely on observers with binoculars and are unaware they are being watched. The commander aboard the Burke unhesitatingly gives the order: weapons free. At 3:47 in the morning, the first Tomahawk missile erupts from its container, followed by 3 more. 6 cruise missiles rush north at 900 kilometers per hour, flying 50 feet above the waves. No observer can spot them in the darkness. Aboard the Yamato, Admiral Ugaki reviews battle plans when his flagship suddenly explodes. The Tomahawk pierces the superstructure and detonates inside the command bridge. The explosion destroys the fleet's nerve center, while secondary explosions ripple through the ship. For several seconds, the pride of the Imperial fleet is engulfed in flames 4 hours before the crew would receive orders to take their battle stations in the original timeline. This is enough to make even seasoned soldiers lose hope. But since we have already dropped the destroyer from the future, why not drop an iPhone 2 as well, so they can calm down with today's sponsor? Seriously, I have faced some psychological issues that made me feel stuck and lost. I delayed seeking help for a long time because I didn't want to waste time traveling and calling therapists in search of the right one. I know that being a YouTuber feels like waving a flag that says, "I'm unemployed," but believe me, it's a lot of work, and there's no time for the headaches of finding a therapist. BetterHelp makes therapy easier than ever. You fill out a short questionnaire and receive a suitable licensed therapist in just a couple of days. If the match does not suit you, you can change therapist at any time without extra costs. The therapist can help you see things differently, provide practical tools, and help cope with life's difficulties, as long as what you're struggling with is not a class destroyer like the Arleigh Burke. They have over 7,000 reviews and a rating of 4.5 on Trustpilot, so this is a platform you can trust. Put off homework, chores, and other things. But please, do not neglect your mental health. Go to the link in the description or to betterhelp.com/2braincells to get a 10% discount on the first month. Thank you, BetterHelp, for supporting the channel. Now back to the Japanese fleet. Musashi takes 2 hits, one in the forward magazine and one in the engine rooms. The first transforms the ship's bow into a steel hell. The second ship deprives it of propulsion, leaving the vessel and crew motionless, burning and sinking. The horizon is still shrouded in utter darkness, and the crew of 2,500 finds themselves out of formation before realizing that the battle has begun. The Japanese fleet descends into chaos. Ships collide in the darkness, trying to avoid its bottomless depths. Radio frequencies fill with panicked messages about submarines, mines, and ghostly bombers. No one can realize that a single destroyer, located 150 kilometers away, has just shattered their battle formation. By morning, when the American escort aircraft carriers were supposed to launch their planes from Samara, the Korean Central Group was already heavily damaged, and the Arleigh Burke was not going to stop. A destroyer races north at 35 knots when Japanese seaplanes finally spot it, a solitary gray figure cutting through the morning sea. The remaining Karaita ships attempt to attack what they believe to be a 1940s American cruiser. From a distance of 75 kilometers, the Burke opens fire with a volley of SM-6 missiles. The heavy cruiser, Chukai, is destroyed when a missile traveling at 3.5 Mach hits its bridge. Sudzuyu is also struck, and its ammunition explodes in a fiery vortex moments later. Japanese 8-inch shells begin to fall around the destroyer as all ships realize it is the only target. But hitting a moving target at 35 knots from 40 kilometers away is no easy task. Japanese artillery, at that time quite good by the standards of 1944, turns into a guessing game. The 5-inch Burke guns begin firing. Radar-guided shells explode in the air above Japanese destroyers, tearing their bridges apart under a rain of tungsten shrapnel. Without orders or coordination, the smaller ships disintegrate. Meanwhile, 200 kilometers to the south, behind the Lee Islands, Admiral Nishimura with the Southern Group is heading towards the Sura Strait, intending to flank the American fleet. Instead, they enter the destruction zone of a lone destroyer and are immediately detected by its radar. The Burke launches 8 Tomahawks as Japanese ships maneuver in a narrow strait. The battleship Fuso explodes into pieces as 3 missiles hit their target, and the Yamashiro burns from bow to stern. The destroyer, Michiishio, simply vanishes in a fireball. The remaining Japanese destroyers launch desperate torpedo salvos, but the Burke's sonar tracks them and simultaneously detects the ships from which they came. The Burke dodges torpedoes at a speed of 35 knots, but the missiles are not infinite, and by this time the destroyer's vertical launch systems are running low. At dawn, far to the north in the Philippine Sea, Admiral Azawa's force appears on the radar, intended for diversion. 4 aircraft carriers with barely 100 planes, only a shadow of their former glory at Pearl Harbor, launch everything they have. The remaining SM-2 and ESSM missiles of the Burke soar into the sky, creating a deadly shield. The last hope, Japanese torpedo bombers AM-600 and Kate start exploding at 50 kilometers, then at 30, then at 10. Few who reach the attack radius encounter the phalanx, an automatic system with a rotating barrel capable of firing 4,500 shells per minute, designed to destroy missiles and enemy aircraft that have breached the outer defensive lines. A brave Zero pilot, already leaving a smoky trail, aims at the destroyer's bridge. The phalanx automatically tracks him, and in a brief moment of 20 milliseconds, a wall of 20-millimeter tungsten rounds turns the pilot and his plane into debris, falling into the sea. With the destruction of aerial threats and depletion of missile supplies, the destroyer Burke approaches the aircraft carriers using its artillery. From a distance of 15 kilometers, radar-guided 5-inch shells target the aviation fuel tanks of Zuikaku, and the aircraft carrier that launched the attack on Pearl Harbor is engulfed in flames. The Zuiho and Chitos follow, their unprotected decks unable to withstand modern ammunition. By noon on October 25th, the battle in the Bay of Lee is over. The Imperial Japanese fleet no longer exists. 4 battleships, including both giants of the Yamato class, are destroyed. 4 aircraft carriers burn on the seabed, while dozens of cruisers and destroyers are scattered across the waters of the Philippines. The only losses for the Americans are a few spent shells.